Good evening, my name is Obaid Alhmoudi and I'll be explaining the net change as part of the Term 2 project. Starting with the definition of net change, the definition states that if f prime of x is the continuous rate of change function on the interval a to b, then the net change is f of x, as x varies from a to b, and it is given by the integration of f prime of x from a to b. Basically, the integral of the rate of change of any quantity gives us the net change. As we see here, the net change equals the integration of the rate of change. The main uses of net change include finding the velocity of a certain moving object given its acceleration, or finding the distance / displacement of an object when given its velocity as a function or as a graph. First question I'll be solving is question number 79 from the 2016 AP exam. It says that the number of people who have entered the museum on a certain day is modeled by a function f of t, where t is measured in hours since the museum opened that day. The number of people who have left the museum since it opened the same day is modeled by the function g of t. If f prime of t is 300 multiplied by 1.02 raised to the power of t, and g of t is 240 plus 240 sine pi t minus 4 over 12, at what time from the interval 1 to 11 is the number of people at maximum? Okay, so starting off, we know that the equation for entering is the number of people entering is f of t, which is the integration of f prime of t, and the number of people leaving is g of t, which is found by the integration of g prime of t. Okay, and the total number of people is f of t minus g of t. Okay, first of all, to find the maximum point, we'll have to use our knowledge from the derivative lesson. So we'll set, let's call the total p of t. So we'll set the total 0, the rate of the total amount of people. So 0 will equal prime of t, which is basically f prime of t minus g prime of t, because leaving minus entering, entering minus leaving. So 0 will equal 380 multiplied by 1.02 to the power of t minus the equation of g of t, which is 240 plus 240 sine pi t minus 4 t minus 4 over 12. Solving for that, you can just put it in the calculator. You get that t is a maximum at 7.88. Of course, we'll have other values for t, but we have to remember that we're using the interval 1 to 11. And just to check, we'll use a table. Number line 7.88. Any number before 7.88 is positive, and any number after is negative. That suggests that the graph like this, that is a maximum. Okay, next part, that gives us the answer for this question, but if we want to know the number of people at this time when there's a maximum, how many people what's the maximum amount of people at the museum. We'll have P max equals P of 7.88, okay, which is the integration of from 1 to 7.88, because that's the maximum amount of people will be at this time, of P prime of t, which is basically which is the integration from 1 to 7.88 of f prime of t minus g prime of t, again dt. Okay, so this is 380, the integration of course of 380, the integration of this basically leads to, and if you solve for that, you get that the maximum amount of people will be 1040. Okay, so the conclusion of this question is the maximum number of people in the museum is 1040 at time 7.88. The next question is question number 84. It says a home uses fuel oil at the rate R equals 10 plus 8 sine t over 60 gallons per day, where t is the number of days from the beginning of the heating season to the nearest gallon. What is the total amount of fuel used from T0 to T60? Okay, for this question, total amount of fuel used equals the integration, I'll write that myself, integration equals the integration of rate of fuel used, okay, and then just add integration, okay. So f of t, if f is the fuel, the amount of fuel, f of t is the amount of fuel, equals the integration from a to b of the rate, which in this case is since they gave us the intervals are from 0 to 60, be 0 to 60, the integration from 0 to 60 of 10 plus 8 sine t over 60 dt, okay. And solving the integration, we'll get the integration of t alone is 10t from 0 to 60 plus integration of 8 sine t over 60 is basically 8 over 1 over 60 multiplied by cosine t over 60 from 0 to 60, from 0 to 60, okay. from 0 to 60, okay. And if we solve that, it will be 10, there will be 60 plus 480 cosine 60 over 60, that's cosine 1, minus 480 multiplied by cosine 0 over 60, okay. And if we solve for that, we get the total answer is 820.65, which is approximately 821. And so here the answer is D. Okay, the last question is question number 89. So that a particle moving along a straight line for 6 seconds, so that its velocity in centimeters per second is modeled by the graph. What is the total distance the particle travels? Okay, in this case they are looking for the total distance, which is, let's say, s of t, and since they are looking at the total distance, the direction of the particle doesn't matter. So basically this part of the graph will have to be positive. Okay, and to use that in the integration, we'll have to say that s of t equals integration from a to b of the graph, which is v of t, the absolute value, sorry. Okay, d of t, which in this case the intervals are from 0 to 6 of the graph, which is the area. Okay, and we have to make sure that we use the correct value for the negative part here, which will be positive actually. So in this case it will be the area of trapezoid from 0 to 3, which is this part. Okay, plus the area of the trapezoid, the second trapezoid from 3 to 6. Okay, which here is the area of the trapezoid is a plus b over 2 multiplied by her height. So in this case it's 3 plus 2 over 2 multiplied by 2. So we can see here this is 2, this is 3, and between it's 2, plus area of the second trapezoid, which will be 5 to 6 is 1, so 1, and then 4 to 6 is 2, and then the height between them is minus 1, 0 minus 1, so 1. Okay, so that will be 2 plus 1 over 2 multiplied by the height, which is 1. This is the same as 5. 3 plus 2 over 2 is 5 over 2. 5 over 2 is 2.5. 2.5 by 2 is 5, plus 3 over 2 times 1 is 1.5, which is the final answer gives us 6.5. And so the answer for this question is D. Thank you.